Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Not That Important. In today's video, we'll be talking about Imad Wasim and Mohammad Amir's return to the Pakistan side. More specifically, we'll be spending quite a bit of time on Mohammad Amir, looking at his return from both an on field and off field perspective, looking at some of the positives and potential negatives or concerns that come with his return to the side. Before we jump into the video, if you're watching us for the first time or if you've been listening to our videos for a while, I would request that you subscribe and hit the like button as well. Arman and I do these videos as a passion project on the side. We're not too worried about the view count or anything like that. We just love talking about cricket. But having said that, the more people watch, it sort of validates and motivates us to continue to put our thoughts out there. So yeah, would really appreciate it if you guys could like, subscribe, and comment if you disagree with any of our opinions as well. But I'll jump right into it. Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim, who have been drafted in, and they are apparently ready to play for Pakistan, and anything for
मैडी भाई
Pakistan और ये
मैडी
वो
भाई पे
सारा
पहले
कब शुरू
बात
हो गया
करना
है.
है
चलो मैडी भाई पे शुरू करो.
बिकॉज ये
वो तो आई
वो एंड
थिंक
पे हिंट
बिकॉज
भी किया था कि वो आ ही जाएगा
और
वो तो
बनता भी है
ऑब्वियसली
यार, लाइक अच्छा खेल रहा है, लाइक जरूरत भी है टीम को, like of
या
that sort of player. Yeah, man, three man of the match performances to win PSL. Plus, like he won that crucial game against Multan Sultans, and he smoked a dart in the dressing room. Like all the boxes are checked, bro. Like this guy has to be in the team. But the other thing, obviously, उसके बारे में हमने like काफी मजाक भी हो रहा है, and like we've criticized him correctly with like the things he said in the past. Joby, the one thing I do appreciate and I respect what he did was that he backed himself and he won. Like
या
when these PCB was making all these decisions, कि you can only play like one or two leagues or ये
टू
वो,
लीग्स
he backed himself. He's like मैं leagues खेलूंगा. He knew probably deep down कि if I perform well in the PSL, like मेरी जगह वापस आ जाएगी team में. And he basically won, and it sets a
फर्स्टली
precedent for
आउट
other players in the future, like the likes of Haris Rauf. Like if these guys like discard you or like they take away your contract and all it takes is one PSL. Like their memories are so short. All it
या
takes is like one PSL for you to get back in the team. So I guess it's
and
like
not even a whole PSL, a couple of games
a
at the
couple of
right
games.
time,
Yeah.
and you're back in. With that being said, bro, I feel like could he not have just gone the Trent Bowl way from the beginning to just forego a central contract but make himself available for like T20
You think
tournaments
कि
instead of
पाकिस्तान
playing the
में
leagues?
वो accept करते हैं ऐसी चीजें?
हाँ ये बात भी है, ये बात भी है.
है ना? Like he didn't conduct himself well, to be honest. Like he did like act bigger than the team and everything, and at the moment it sort of fit with the narrative that was building up around him, and he wasn't a popular figure with like the fans and everything. So in that regard, like yeah, definitely like you can point fingers at him as well, but at the end of the day, he basically got what he wanted. So like all
Not
roads
respect.
lead.
Performance, boss, doesn't matter if you piss us off or not. If at a certain point it looks like you're the guy who should be representing the country, then that's what matters, right? Which brings us to the second point. Maybe the
And
guy who,
the
yeah,
other thing, I mean, we'll talk more about like captaincy and how it relates to Babar, because अब ये दोनों आ गए हैं टीम में और like Babar के बारे में बहुत कुछ उन्होंने बोला है. But the thing with Imad Wasim is कि he has like even last year when he was selected for the T20s, I think it was against Afghanistan. There was like some dinner पे गया था Babar के साथ and stuff. I think he's had a lot of back and forth, so I'm not as worried about his dynamic with Babar. Like they've had a lot
yeah.
of this in the past as well, and they've got over it. It's more how does Amir fit in to all this? And before we talk about उसका character and stuff, yeah, पहले इसकी performance पे थोड़ी बात करते हैं. Like I think he played well in the PSL. I don't think he did anything over, above, and beyond what anyone else did to be able to say that, oh, we need this guy desperately in the team and we like throw aside all the baggage to like draft this guy in because he's the be all and end all and he's the savior for our team. I don't agree with that. I don't think he did anything extraordinary. His performances were decent. Like he played well for Quetta, but I don't think he went over and above to like say like he elevated himself above the other guys who were contenders for this fast bowling spots in the World Cup.
Yeah, so I will disagree with that, but you were right. Like at the beginning, we were having a debate on this, and his stats were way worse than I thought they were, which you rightly pointed out. I pulled them out, and with everything that was said and done, his stats were maybe a bit better than Shaheen's. Maybe his economy was a bit better. Shaheen was still taking more wickets. And all of the things we
And
were
it
criticizing,
was a little bit better in a season that widely is regarded as like an awful season for
Shaheen's
Shaheen.
worse.
Yes.
Shaheen's
So
worse, bro. Okay, I have another. I had a stat here that in the 9 seasons of PSL, Muhammad Amir hasn't finished top five in wickets once. Not once, bro.
it
Champions Trophy time is in there. 2019 time is in there. His comeback time is in there. He's never been like an out and out wicket taker, and everything we're criticizing Shaheen for at this point of time right now. Fast forward a few years, Mohammad Amir was bowling cutters with the new ball. उसको मतलब
वही ना तो
130 से
I
ऊपर
was gonna
उसकी
say
speed नहीं
this.
जा रही थी. And then even if you if you rewind a year and a half ago, he was playing in the retired legends leagues और उधर भी उसकी कोई मतलब खास against 40-year-olds मतलब उसको उधर भी थोड़ी बहुत मार पड़ रही थी. But then
Thing I want to add to that is that that doesn't surprise me because his T20 bowling in the last few years and maybe a little bit more than that has from the beginning been defensive, and he's really good at that. Like he doesn't go for too many runs, but like well doesn't go for wicket taking deliveries. He goes more for defensive, and I mean no. I'm not knocking that at all. Like that's a style that works for him. But at the end of the day, like if you're the lead pacer in a team, then you have to be taking more wickets than he is, right?
yeah, but then, bro, my point is with all that stuff aside, and again, I'm gonna get to Shaheen after because I think people have treated him really poorly. Again, the stuff we're criticizing Shaheen for, Shaheen has been excellent for 5 6 years straight, mashallah, since his debut. This is the first year he's been a bit off, and how you rightly pointed off, his worst season is stats wise was like Amir's what Amir did this year. But bro, then I'm gonna come to the point that I'm gonna forget the stats and everything, and I'm gonna go with my eyes were seeing. And I thought Amir had a really good. I thought he had a really good PSL to a point where I think Abi, given the shortcomings of some of the holistic problems in our pace bowling, उसकी जगह बनती है number one because उसको एक awareness है जो कि Shaheen's a better bowler, he's got a better peak, he's performed more for Pakistan. लेकिन मोहम्मद आमिर की awareness तो एक genius level की है, bro, and we've seen that throughout his career. I know he might not have taken that many wickets, but you and I were here discussing the last time that all of our pacers seem to have in the last year or two some type of issue when it comes to slowing the game down, having alternate field placements and plans at the death. Whereas Amir looks crystal clear in what he wants to do at the death. And aside from that, something poor Shaheen has been leading the attack since he was 19. I think you have other guys coming up to Shaheen for advice when he's like a teenager, right? Now I think to have the option of a senior bowler who can slow the game down for these guys, give them ideas, even if you're not starting him in conditions like West Indies, where he's been amazing in his CPL career. I think if there is a tournament to bring him back, it's this one.
And on that note, like his CPL record is phenomenal. Like,
Yeah,
I'm, and this stretches back to like the years he's been playing in the CPL. But if I just look at this year, he's played 10 games, 16 wickets, 6.87 was his economy. That is like phenomenal
yeah,
numbers. So he
phenomenal.
and those tracks also suit the way he bowls with his cutters and his variations and everything. And I absolutely agree. Like he has a bit of nous in terms of his bowling that is missing from our attack at the moment. Naseem
Yeah,
has all the deliveries, so you can see him bowl that, but like that experience is still like sometimes not there at the death, especially. I feel like sometimes one thing that annoys me with Amir is कि वो डेथ पे वाइड यॉर्कर्स पे बहुत एम्फोसिस देता है और उस पर लाइक उसकी 3 4 वाइडें लग जाती है ओवर में यूजुअली आई सी लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ वाइड्स बीइंग डिलीवर्ड बाय हिम बट
लेकिन उसको मार तो नहीं पड़ रही
एग्जैक्टली
उतनी ना
टू
ओवर्स
हिज क्रेडिट
में
मार नहीं
तो.
पड़ती लेकिन माई पॉइंट इज समटाइम्स के वो रन्स वाइडों से ही बन जाते हैं फिर दैट इज
ठीक
समथिंग
है
दैट आई हैव
ठीक है
नोटिस्ड दैट ही
या
स्ट्रगल्स विद बट हैविंग
या
सेड दैट I do agree कि like if you're looking at this from a very short term picture of the T20 World Cup and not looking at anything else, I think it's a decent shout because of his record in CPL, and like just the awareness that he brings with experience and in those conditions
Dude,
too.
and his pace looks up a little bit for the first time in a long time. We're gonna get into retirements and that kind of stuff, but he was, whatever I think of him, and what happened after he retired, just in retirement, especially from Test cricket, bro, he was severely mismanaged, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the stuff that we're talking about
With
with
Shaheen
Shaheen,
was him
Amir
first.
was the first guy that happened with, right? Usko itna ragra diya when he came back from his ban. But now I think the pace is back a little bit, and I think it's good. I think it's sometimes it's nice to have a senior bowler, and that's something these guys have never had. since the 2019 World Cup. So for their own sake, I think it's nice to have that back. Yes, there's going to be questions about how he would factor in into a playing 11, which can be looked at later. Who sits out? Does he sit out to start? Is he okay with sitting out to start? How is he going to play under Babar? But purely from a cricketing point of view, I think it's the right move.
Plus, big match player. Big
Big,
match
massive,
player.
massive
It's
match player,
almost it,
bro.
it feels like with Amir ki like
Yeah.
wo he he doesn't really bowl to his potential, or like his heart is not always in it in all the games, but jab bade moments aate hain, like he switches on. He almost has that ability like to rise to the occasion at will. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Like we saw it with Imad in this PSL, but it's also like with Amir. Like when the occasion
Amir's at a
demands,
different level, though.
when the
Yeah.
occasion demands, he rises to another thing. Like for example, Champions Trophy mein, he was good, and then he was injured in the semi final, and in the final he just went off. Same with the 2019 World Cup. The lead up to that, his stats were really ordinary, and we were talking about dropping him potentially from that as well. He comes back into the World Cup and has a really good World Cup as well. Uske baad again dip aa gaya. It seems like he just like is focused on those moments and saving himself
Yeah.
for that, and now he has the opportunity, because this is, let's be honest, this is probably the last time he's going to play for Pakistan in like a world event, unless like obviously anything can happen with Pakistan. But if he looks at it as that, you could see him like bringing the best of him. I still have concerns. Obviously off field is one thing else. Right now we're just focusing on field. I don't know how him, Naseem, and Shaheen play in the same 11. Like I don't think that works. um, I don't want you to bowl Amir with the new ball over Shaheen and Naseem. Like that's something I don't like. And then you have Imad as well in the Caribbean. He will be an asset as well. So you have four guys who are best utilized at the beginning. That will be something for, especially when you have someone like Babar captaining. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for you. So that's something you have to think of as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're gonna have to see how they balance it. But I'm not going in with too many like preconceived notions in the sense of, bro, like if the right thing to do is have Amr as your third pacer, then you bowl him first change. Maybe it doesn't look ideal right now, but the pitches might be slower there. That's something you're gonna have to see. Last time he played for Pakistan, he was bowling first change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imad and Shaheen would be opening the bowling, so it's not like it's something that's completely foreign to him, anyways. आप ये मतलब argue कर सकते हो that his value is somewhat taken away, but uh, he's never been a wicket taker the way Shaheen is with the new ball on a
Yeah.
consistent basis. But I do think that he can serve you well towards the death of the innings, which I think is really going to be, um, the hall. Hopefully, it's
Yeah.
the hallmark of his comeback here.
It's one thing
Um,
I
yeah,
have been noticing like for the past little while as well, and in the PSL especially, not a fan at the moment of Shaheen, the death bowler. I think he's been going for plenty, and I think like his figures actually, whatever they are, they get made a lot worse by when he comes on to bowl at the death. We saw Junior hit a six on him that day. As well, like he basically bowled in the arc to him. Like, and when you have a player like that, जो लपा रहा है, एक ही shot है उसके पास, like you should be smart enough to be able to bowl outside of his hitting zone. And I feel like if you can,
Junior is a world class all rounder, bro. Stop it.
if you have Amir and Naseem Shah in the side bowling at the death, then you can maybe bowl Shaheen three at the top. You can bowl him one in the middle. You can be a lot more creative with that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that we'll talk a little bit more about
And
how
another
he.
thing, bro,
Yeah.
just before we move off from the on the field stuff, but like in a game where you want to play four pacers, I think Shaheen and Naseem both and Amir all bat well enough now that you can, if the situation ever demands for a fourth pacer, instead of trying to force a pace bowling all rounder in there, you can just play all four of them together on certain tracks where you might need four, right? I think the batting doesn't suffer too much because of that, hopefully. And you've got four quality pace options as well that can
Mm-hmm.
bowl throughout the innings. So yeah, I think it's good. But now let's get to the off the field. Now on the field, Matika, you might disagree a bit, but we all see that there's some value in having him there. Off the field though, bro, is it worth you know
I don't think so.
ruining the
I
unity that was? You don't think so, yeah?
I think that there's a lot under the bridge.
But
Like you
for
said,
Imad or for Amir or for both of them?
with Imad, I think he's still been in and around the team, right? That's what I'm saying. Like we've seen him like T20 series against Afghanistan. He was there in the side. We've seen him and Babar have their like little tiffs, but then they've come back to get. I say tiffs, but like nothing from Babar's side. Like it's mostly just from
Yeah,
Imad's side, and
great
then you
one.
see them come together. But I think like he's smart enough, and like when he's in the side, I don't think we've ever had any issues with Imad like in the Pakistan camp as such, right? We've never seen him like yes, तो टीवी पे आके कहता है कि बाबर T20 player नहीं है and stuff like that. But in the camp itself, like I don't think
That's also when he's sitting with Amir for the
yeah,
most
exactly.
part.
So, but yeah, with Mohammad Amir, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's been a lot of. It seems like he goes out of his way to like criticize Babar
Yeah.
at times. And yeah, it's almost it's funny for me actually. Okay, like, in fact, like there's an angle that I'm actually very happy and I'm enjoying this. कि these two came back and फिर उन्होंने बाबर को कप्तान बना दिया कि हाँ
Exactly.
boys क्या scene है. So they're gonna have to play under him. The one thing before we get to other off field stuff is that we both agree that they are in the 15 for the T20 World Cup. They wouldn't have come back unless they were promised that, right? 100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
100%.
there's no doubt about that in
Unless
my
के
mind.
कोई बहुत ही like horrendous performance हो,
Hmm.
more so Mohammad Amir ki. I think Imad is in there
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
for sure.
100%.
I think unless Mohammad Amir कोई मतलब ये New Zealand series में 12 and over wicketless जाए, फिर England series में उस type की हो, तभी निकालेंगे उसको जाके.
Yeah.
But I see them getting all the games and stuff too leading up to it. But then that begs the question, like we're talking about the unity. Unity in a sense already tabah ho bhi chuki hai, team ki, if you look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Amir is a tricky one because, like you said, Imad is one thing, but like Amir seems to be a little bit more personal. And I see him sitting on like these like Desert Vipers, Shoaib Malik type shows, and whenever Babar's name comes up, especially when it comes to like comparing like Babar Rizwan to like an Indian player or something like that. There's one thing having an opinion, but this guy, you could tell that it's a little bit more than that. And it seems like he doesn't respect the players within his own camp, as a Pakistani. So
Yeah.
then, bringing that guy back in to the team, I don't know. I don't know what happens if he has to get dropped. Is he going to ruin the environment
Yeah.
from inside the team? Like, are we going to lose this World Cup and he's going to come back on TV and criticize everything like mujhe nahi khilaya, ye nahi hua, wo nahi hua. Like I can't tell with this guy, and it's a little bit sad because you would think that somebody who was welcomed back with such open arms, right? We saw the best in him. He was a teenager when this happened, all this stuff. For him to then come back and have such an entitled attitude towards the Pakistan cricket team is something I can never understand. Like I would think that a player like him would literally want to play for the country until the wheels fell off, right?
I
But
think
his attitude has been everything but that.
that's the part that rubs me the wrong way the most. That he thinks he's better than the Pakistan team. That's always been the attitude that
Yeah.
I've seen. Like, bro, we backed him. He's given us like one of the better moments like that we've seen in the past decade as a Pakistan fan. With that spell in the Champions Trophy final. But like, it just seems like everything since then has been negative, negative, negative. Whether
Yeah.
it be about the way the other Pakistani players are performing, whether it's about Babar.
Oh, Hux, I want to remind you of something. I don't know if you'll remember the 2019 World Cup, the first match we played against West Indies, which is ultimately why we got eliminated from that tournament. I think we were defending 120 odd or something like that. Amir took 3 wickets in that game. And even the last one, if I'm not mistaken, we can go back and look. I think it was of Chris Gale, the third wicket he took. He was celebrating that wicket as if it mattered. So, at a certain point, it seems like team ka jo bhi ho raha ho na, if I'm looking good out there, if I'm taking wickets, if I'm not going for runs, like you said, putting like his stats in defensive, sometimes maybe it feels like that he puts his defensive bowling and his stats above, going out there risking getting hit and taking wickets, those types of
Yeah.
things. You don't know with this guy, so I think we need him from a cricketing point of view. I think we have to be wary with everything that goes
The
into it. I
other
don't think it could just be a compromise from the captain and everybody else. I think he's gonna have to compromise, put his ego behind him, and also show up to play with a good attitude as well.
वो एक और चीज़ है कि like I don't like the fact that they've come back because they've been guaranteed a place in the side. Like, come on, man, you're competing against guys who've basically put everything into the Pakistan team for the past couple of years. Whether it be like difficult moments, where it's like someone like Wasim Jr. who's traveled with the team throughout. Forget performances, Joe B. He's done pretty well, but like he's a guy who's always been there, always ready to serve Pakistan. You have Naseem Shah, who's been run into the ground like with his workload, getting injuries. Shaheen putting himself in that situation. And I know कि Amir के साथ भी
And
वैसे हुआ था
Rauf.
in the past, Rauf as well.
Yeah.
And you have this guy who just waltzed in at the last moment, to take the glory almost, and like be there in the T20 World Cup without actually putting in the hard yards before. That is what I don't like. The fact that you think you have that entitled attitude that you deserve to be in the side above everyone else without performing, that rubs me the wrong way as well. And I think that is something that could
Yeah.
create those frictions in the cap. Not necessarily. I think as cricketers, there's like egos in the dressing room. Everyone's used to dealing with that. I think in the past we've had that in the Pakistan team as well. I don't think as such there will be like personal problems. I think they're, you know, wise enough to put that under the bridge. I think the issue comes in where you have like someone just walking into the team without actually being dedicated and showing that he is a team player. And think that's where, like, you know, you could have things
And
go downward.
slandering the guys in the dressing room, bro. Like, ab ye dono to aa gaye. Imad seem fine. Like, he said some stuff too, but I feel like somehow with him it's easier. लेकिन ये दोनों मतलब आके बोल रहे कि यार जो कप्तान है उसको होना ही नहीं चाहिए टीम में,
Exactly,
है ना?
exactly.
तो
And like, bro, regardless of
again,
what you
like,
say about like Babar, like to say he's not a T20 player, or like to say that he shouldn't be in
yeah,
the Pakistan team as a T20 player, like come on,
it's
man, like get a
bro.
grip. Like that's
Yeah.
like ludicrous
That's
to suggest
delusional,
something like
bro.
that.
It's
Yeah.
delusional. You're saying he's batting at the top. He's not scoring runs quick enough. Buddy, you were in the team for a year without taking wickets at the top. तुम्हारा चार के economy से घंटा कोई हम match जीते हैं. You know you weren't taking wickets. Thankfully you started taking them in the World Cup. But bro, like you of all people should know that you know what this criticism feels like and stuff, especially for someone with so much expectation on them and that kind of stuff. And he just seems like I don't know him. I shouldn't judge anyone, but he seems like a very ungrateful and a very, very, very entitled person.
Yeah. 100%. And the other thing is, like, apparently Hafiz said now on A Sports that he called both Amir and Imad and offered them, or just asked if they'd be interested in coming back in the Pakistan side, and they said no at that time. This
Yeah.
was when he was the director,
Bro,
and
I
it
don't
seemed
know
like
what
at that
dude.
it seems like at that time, like it was probably like they weren't guaranteed a spot. It was just asked like, hey, would you be interested if we consider you? And they said no, and this time they've been
Yeah.
guaranteed that spot. And that's what I don't understand, like what basis
Shay,
has Amir been
aside from
guaranteed
that
a spot in
too,
the side? Like who has made this decision to guarantee him a spot in the side, or to
bro,
convince him to come back?
I'll get to that right after. But like, even after he gave the conditional retirement that I'm not going to play under Wakar and Misbah, bro, when they left, they tried to add, if I'm not mistaken, they tried to add his name to the domestic T20 circuit. And usne akkar se bola कि यार, did I say that I'm back? Why did you add me? It's like, bro, your thing was conditional to start off with. What are you talking about? And then the other thing you said, Hux, the thing is, you're right. You and I will feel like this, but you know he was not going to come back until he had some type of, because his whole thing is ego based. कि मैं आ ना जाऊँ और मुझे drop ना कर दे, मेरी
I'm
बेइज्जती
not
ना हो
saying
जाए,
that
this type of stuff.
that's fine, but then don't get him back. I'm sorry, like, you know, if
But bro, this cricket board is the one who we're gonna get into, bro. They're ready to turn on Babar at a moment's notice, on Shaheen's we all love Naseem right now, or Allah kare he stays fit or healthy, or you know all this stuff. Uski performance kabhi bhi na gire. But I promise you, the minute it does, usko bhi phek denge.
yeah.
This is what these people are. So if they find any benefit in bringing Amir back, whether it's from a PR point of view, whether it's from a we might win a tournament point of view, whatever it is, they're gonna do it, right? So we can't expect anything different from these guys. They've been sellouts systematically and historically since the PCB's inception, right? Somebody you could turn on, Shaheen, who has more accomplishments for Pakistan than most cricketers ever, has been the ICC Cricketer of the Year, is one of the most accomplished bowlers ever at his age. Um, has been there. Amir lives off a few spells. Shaheen has been doing that big games, small games, in and out every day until this year. And even then, he was our hardest wicket taker in a World Cup, playing through injury, doing all these things. So, a system that will throw him to the side that quickly off of 4 or 5 months of not even terrible performance, of poor performances by his amazing standards.
Yeah.
Can you expect anything else of them?
No, no, absolutely. That's spot on. And that's why I said at the start, ki, like, Imad Wasim, I actually, like, sort of, in a weird way, like, rate what he did, because he backed himself and he set, like, a precedent for these guys. Ki, hey, like, if these PCV people are going to treat you like shit, like, just back yourself. There's enough money going around in the world right now to be able to thrive and make a career for yourself through international leagues. And then on the other hand, like, bro, like, if they're not going to take you seriously, like, at the end of the day, you have to put yourself forward, right? Like, if this organization is so dysfunctional and treating you like shit, like even I would only worry about my own self interest. Like yes, at the end of the day, what they're getting away with is the fact that the dream for every player is to play for Pakistan, and that's the only reason that they're like so willing to put up with this bullshit that the way the PCB is treating them. And on that note, like let's come to Usman Khan, right? Um, this guy was not really given any or taken seriously at all as a domestic player. He had to leave to the UAE to start to get chances. He started to establish himself there. Got residency. Was about to reach the eligibility mark to be able to represent UAE in the World Cup, and suddenly
14 months away.
they see that he's playing well in the PSL and they draft him into the squad. And at the end of the day, the lure of playing for Pakistan is such that he's willing to like gamble his career on that and take a massive risk, which has already resulted in him being banned.
Not just his career, his family's livelihood in
Yeah,
future, right?
and he's already been banned for 5 years now from the ILT20 and the Abu Dhabi T10. And ये लोग तो इसको फेंक देंगे at a moment's
फेंक देंगे.
notice.
He's the guy. He's the guy. आमिर और इमाद को छोड़ के जो बंदा वाकई में मुखलिस है ना पाकिस्तान के साथ, तुम उसको अगर गारंटी दे दो कि तुम वर्ल्ड कप तक खेलोगे और that I'm still okay with.
Yeah.
And I hope Allah kare they do well with that guy. I would be
Honestly, like
pissed if they threw him on the
performances
side, but
aside, and like obviously I have my thoughts on and concerns about like getting him to the side. जो भी वो बाद में बात करेंगे जब selection के बारे
yeah,
में करेंगे. But just based on the way like the things he sacrificed and stuff, I would hope for his sake that he's in the team.
yeah,
Because yeah, otherwise like इनका कुछ नहीं पता. They can also like throw him away. The other thing is fine. Bro,
yeah.
if he's not in the Pakistan team, that's fine. Like, not everyone gets to be in the side. At least let him play domestic. Make sure that he gets a proper go with whatever side he's playing. He plays a full season. He continues to earn through those means. Because again, that is still enough for him to like earn a livelihood and care for his family. At the end of the day, you just have to make sure that thing is right. Pakistan खेलना तो like हक नहीं है किसी का. Pakistan, you play like if you perform well and you get in the side, but just make sure that if you've called him back, that you treat him right and give him the bare
Give him
minimum
right, bro.
opportunities in domestic cricket, which I'm worried that they won't because they've not done that in the past and they don't care about players. Yeah, like for them, players are just
They don't.
a commodity essentially, and एक
Yeah,
जाएगा तो कोई और आ
yeah.
जाएगा. So उस regard में
And
like
regardless of everything, like I know we don't know how he'll play in the team, where he'll fit in, but he's a guy I'm genuinely praying for. I hope he makes it, bro. I really hope he makes it. The last thing I would want to see is him to be one of these stories of what not to do when the PCB offers you a job and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
This guy came
exactly.
back for his country, right? Um, which is more you can say about other guys in the past. So I hope it works out. And he does deserve the call up to the camp. I mean, not the camp.
Yeah,
Like he deserves a call up to the Pakistan team, if nothing else, right? With like regardless of where we think he should bat and stuff, he should be in the next squad. So I'm happy. And he took the risk. We saw Wakar Yunus there talking about it and everything, like trying to convince him to come back. Or bichara aa bhi gaya, bro. So just pray that they do right by him, man, because this is not a joke. It's not the same as a player coming out of retirement. This is a player coming out, and literally, a lot of Pakistanis would give a lot to be, granted permission to go and live and work in the UAE right now, with like the halat of the mulk and everything like that. So for that guy to forego that with his family and all that type of stuff, and make himself available for selection, it's not a small thing at all. And I hope it's never seen as a small thing by the people in charge.
जो बात है 100%.